healthy, get back on track. And I'm sure a lot of you are thinking the same for your aging loved one, or even maybe yourself as we are all aging. You know, what's normal when it comes to our bodies. So just an overview of what we're going to talk about today. Of course, we're going to start with an overview of elder health. We'll go over lifespan versus life expectancy, because I think that's super important when we're talking about aging, how our bodies change as we age, some ways to stay healthy, and then I do have a couple of upcoming events and opportunities to let you guys know about. So first, of course, we want to start with our mission here at Elder Health of San Diego. We provide personalized services and information to help seniors remain independent and live with dignity in their own homes. And we do this through socialization, through volunteers. We have almost 400 volunteers that help us to reduce social isolation and any resulting health and medical issues. So we're going to be talking about a little bit later about why it's so important to stay social as we age and how it can really help us age successfully. And our volunteers do this through a lot of just friendly visiting, taking someone to the doctor, the grocery store, some of the basic things that we need help with as we age, our volunteers help us. So like I said, we're going to start with lifespan versus life expectancy. So lifespan, this is the number of years it is possible for someone to live. So in humans right now, this is 122 years, which is the oldest person ever recorded to live. This number can increase, although scientists really don't expect it to increase much. You know, over the last 100 years, it's really only increased maybe a few years. So maybe 125 years would be our maximum. Life expectancy, though, this is the average age we're expected to live when we are born. So this number is always changing as health technology gets better, modern medicine, Western medicine, but it does change the older that we live. So currently, right now, for a baby born today in the United States, a female is expected to live 81.3 years, a male 76.3 years, and the average of those two would be 78.86 years. So this number can change from a number of things that we're doing throughout our life, including diet, exercise, our use of tobacco and alcohol, and even things such as mental illness, economic status, or the state or the country that we live in can really affect all of this. So infant mortality plays a huge role in this, because if babies are dying right away, this is bringing our average life expectancy down. But the older that we're living, so at the age of 65 right now in the United States, if you're 65 years old today and you're a male, you can expect to live to 84.3 years old. A female can expect to live to 86.6 years. And this number is only increasing, and they're just the averages. So 1 in 4 people will live to 65 years. 1 in 4 people who are 65 years old today will live past the age of 90, and 1 in 10 of those people will live past the age of 95. So as you can see, the older you live, the more likely you're going to continue living longer, basically. So what's normal when it comes to aging in our bodies? I'm going to go through basically each body part and some of the normal things that happen to us as we age. So starting with our eyes, many of us know from a very young age that our eyes definitely decline as we age. One of the first things that start to happen is difficulty focusing on objects that are up close to us. So we'll need reading glasses. Most people start to need reading glasses by the age of 40. This is because our lens stiffens, the lens part of our eye. We have difficulty adjusting to different light levels because our lens becomes denser and our pupil cannot contract as quickly. So like when you wake up in the morning and you turn on your lights or you open your blinds and it's really bright and it hurts your eyes, that's why. Cataracts are very, very common as we age. And this means your lens is clouding. It's an easy fix by surgery that many people will have to have, and sunlight is what really causes this. So that's why it's important throughout your whole life to be wearing sunglasses and hats and protecting your eyes from the sun. We start to lose our peripheral vision, so that's when if you are looking straight on, you lose the ability to see around you, and this is one of the reasons why driving becomes so difficult. We have a decreased ability to judge depth because our nerve cells decrease in our eyes. This is why stairs are really dangerous. Curbs are dangerous to older people because they can't judge the depth of the stair or the curb and they trip on it. The loss of color clarity because our lens starts to yellow, so we can't see colors as clearly as we age. And then dry eyes, which can be common at almost any age, but our eyes do become drier as we get older. Our ears, another thing that many of us really know can decline as we age. So presbycusis is the gradual loss of hearing that occurs in most of us as we age. It usually happens in both ears pretty equally, and when a senior or anyone really is having trouble hearing you, it's our first natural reaction to shout. But this is not very effective because as we lose our hearing, it's harder to hear higher frequencies. So when we're shouting, we're usually raising our voice to a higher frequency. So if you're having trouble with your parents and that they can't hear you over the phone or even when you're speaking to them, try speaking in a lower, slower, deeper voice. Another thing is the letters K, T, H sound are usually pronounced with a higher pitch of tone. So try, really enunciating those sounds, and that can really help with someone who has difficulty hearing. We have trouble kind of focusing out background noises. So if we're in like a loud restaurant or you're just in a crowded place, it can be really hard for someone to focus on what just you're saying and drown out the background noise. These decreases are really gradual. It's also very normal for hair to start growing out of the ears, and about 1 in 3 people will have hearing loss in their lifetime, although it is more common in men. And when it comes to hearing loss, it's important to remember that these decreases are gradual. So if you're saying, I can't hear as well as I did 3 days ago, that would be very concerning. But if someone is saying, I can't hear as well as I did 3 years ago, that's probably a pretty normal decrease in hearing. And hearing aids, just like glasses, can be essential to someone's quality of life, and it just really takes going to the audiologist and getting your hearing tested. It's kind of the same thing as when we get new glasses and you have to kind of adjust to them for a few days. Hearing aids just take longer, and they can take about a month to get used to, and just making sure that they're adjusted right. And of course, they are expensive, but again, just like glasses, it's something that can really improve someone's life. And something to try to decrease your hearing, your loss of hearing throughout your lifetime is to be wearing earplugs around loud noises, heavy machinery. If you've gone to like a lot of concerts or loud events like that, that can also affect it. So our teeth and our taste, basically our mouth, it's very normal to have a drier mouth and produce less saliva, which can also lead to tooth decay. That's why we think of a lot of older people not having very good teeth because our saliva decreases. A receding gum line is normal. That's not just caused by gingivitis. Our smell and our taste starts to diminish, and one of the reasons our taste starts to diminish is because our smell starts to diminish, and this usually happens to people starting in their 50s. The first taste that you are starting to lose is sweet and salty, and this is why a lot of people either want to add a lot of salt to their food or they have such a big sweet tooth because it's hard for them to taste those things. And the loss of bone mass is another thing that can lead to our teeth becoming weaker and losing our teeth, and we'll talk a little bit more about bone mass in a little bit, but yeah. So our digestive system is one that is very affected by aging, and as many of you probably know, the biggest thing that happens to us is we become constipated. So many factors can lead to constipation and contribute to them, including not eating enough fiber, not drinking enough fluids, not exercising enough. We could be taking medications that cause constipation, and that's really common if you're taking a diuretic or an iron supplement. Medical conditions such as diabetes and irritable bowel syndrome can contribute to constipation. So it's very, very common, and one of the best ways to help treat it naturally is just to be making sure you're drinking a lot of water, eating foods that are high in fiber, Those are broccoli, lentils, Brussels sprouts, peas, avocados, chickpeas, so a lot of green foods. Our kidneys become less efficient, our metabolism slows, especially when it comes to drinking alcohol and taking medications or even our prescription medications. Our stomach empties food a lot slower as well. And since fat tissue burns fewer calories than muscle, so if someone's a very lean person, has a lot of muscle, they're burning more calories than someone who has a lot of fat on their body. You need fewer calories to maintain your weight. Our metabolism starts to slow about 5% per decade that we're living, which is a huge reason why young kids have really high metabolisms and older people really have pretty slow metabolisms. It's also very common for us to become lactose intolerant, so that would be we become intolerant of cow's milk or dairy. And we get less blood flow to the liver, making it harder to process drugs such as medications and other substances such as alcohol. And to really help your digestive system and as well as many other systems of your body, it's important to continue working out, building muscle, and that will help with maintaining your metabolism, eating a healthy diet, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and of course, staying hydrated. So our body fat, muscle mass decreases and body fat takes its place. Fat moves from beneath the skin to surround deeper organs of the body. So that's why the skin starts to thin, become less tolerant of cold. Older people are always really cold, this is why. And men often gain weight until the age of 55, women until the age of 65, and that's when we start to lose weight, mostly because muscle weighs a lot in our body and we start to lose muscle mass. Our hair, skin, and nails are all connected. Our skin starts to lose elasticity, and it becomes thinner, more fragile, making it more prone to bruising. This is because our skin starts to produce less collagen and elastin. That's why collagen is a huge ingredient in like anti-aging products. Oil production decreases, so that's what causes dry skin. Usually older people don't need to shower as much because it really dries out their skin. Our nails and hair start to grow slower, and our skin starts to heal slower if we get a cut. The same thing with if we have a bruise, and older people tend to bruise a lot easier. They just hit their hand on something and it can cause a bruise, and it can be a major bruise that heals very slow because of the elasticity. Our fingernails tend to get thinner, but our toenails become thicker and start to lose their shape. And not keeping up with this can cause fungal infections. So it's so important to keep going to the podiatrist and getting your toenails trimmed, because a lot of the times it's not something you can do on your own anymore. Our hair starts to turn gray, and the number of hair follicles that we have starts to decrease. But because of hormonal changes, especially in women, it's normal for hair to start growing on our face. And our hair turns gray because of the loss of pigment called melanocytes. And this is in our hair bulbs. And graying of hair, obviously, as we know, can start at a very young age, but usually a good telltale sign of old age is when your armpit hair starts to turn gray. Our nerve endings decrease in our skin as well. And that is what makes people become more tolerant of pain. And again, it just explains why as we age, bruises become a lot more prevalent, because our skin is thinner, but we're more tolerant of pain because we have less nerve endings. And then wearing sunscreen is super important because skin becomes more sun sensitive, but also it cannot absorb as much vitamin D. So always be wearing sunscreen as you age, and wear protective clothing or a hat. With our calcium is also super important, or taking a vitamin D substance, or eating a lot of vitamin D in your food is also super important. Our bones, joints, and muscles. So our bones become less dense and smaller. This can be attributed to osteoporosis, which is what this picture is of, is our bones becoming less dense. So this compromises their strength, and it also might make us shrink a little bit in height, which is a little bit more common in women because of less estrogen production. So our bones are always replenishing themselves with kind of like dead bone cells, and they just can't do that as fast as we age. The most common bones to have osteoporosis are in the femur, which is your thigh, the radius and ulna, which is your wrist, the spine, as well as your hip. And it's normal for a person to shrink as much as 2 inches, especially women, and this can also be related to someone's posture. Aging and inactivity can lead to a loss of cartilage, joint fluid, and weaker muscles. So again, if we're losing cartilage, we can be shrinking because that's a lot in our spine. And severe muscle loss is not normal, but losing about 10 to 15% of our muscle mass is normal. And if you're feeling like you're having trouble doing everyday tasks because you feel you've lost that much muscle mass, that's not normal. So it's normal to maintain enough muscle to carry out everyday tasks. Not keeping up with your muscles can lead to bone fractures, osteoporosis, and it's important to always keep active with walking, weight-bearing exercises, having enough calcium and vitamin D in your diet, and smoking can also really relate to osteoporosis. Cracking and popping noises can be normal in your joints, but they shouldn't be associated with swelling, pain, broken bones, things like that. And most knee replacements are done after the age of 65. This is a really common thing to happen. And staying active as we age is so important because for some adults, just one day of staying in bed if you are sick or just even feeling lazy, you can lose up to 2 weeks of exercise progress if you stay in bed for just one day. So that's why it's super important to stay very active as we age, even if it's just walking, because you can just lose so much muscle mass right away. The cardiovascular system, our heart rate becomes a little bit slower. Our blood vessels and arteries become a little bit stiffer and start to fill with fatty deposits. This makes our heart work harder to pump blood through our blood vessels and arteries, but it can lead to high blood pressure if there's too much fatty deposits, which is what hypertension is. Hypertension isn't necessarily normal, but it happens a lot because they are filling with fatty deposits. Our heart also starts to thicken a little bit with our age, and if we are having too much fatty deposit buildup in our arteries and blood vessels, this can lead to decreased blood flow in different parts of the body, which can cause a decline in organ functioning depending on which parts are being blocked. With the cardiovascular system, some common things that come up to realize that aren't normal are dizziness, lightheadedness, chest pain, shortness of breath, noticeable fatigue, high blood pressure, or hypertension, like I said, is not normal. So if someone is always feeling super tired, especially if they're not staying active, that is a huge sign that something might be wrong with their heart. And our memory, we always think of memory as something that really diminishes with age, but it's not normal to have dementia as we age. Something that is normal, though, is called a tip of tongue experience. So a tip of tongue experience is not remembering something that's unimportant. You know, I'm having a tip of tongue experience. Something that's unimportant, such as an acquaintance you knew when you were younger, an old friend's name, maybe like an actor or a celebrity's name, a restaurant that you ate at a long time ago in your hometown. Things that maybe you would remember, but it's just not important for your brain to remember it. But because of synapse firing not working as well or taking longer to fire, this can also affect our balance and mobility and just, you know, the time it takes you to recall something. But your brain can constantly learn as you age. It can always produce new brain cells as you age. And but you might lose some of the structures that connect your nerve cells and synapse firing. That's why it might just take a little bit longer for you to remember something. Some major signs of dementia, if you are worried about it, are like retelling stories in the same day, asking the same question over and over, forgetting about bills or appointments, important things, not knowing what day it is, forgetting like a family member or close friend's name. So one of the greatest signs of you not having dementia is if you are worried about your memory and other people in your life are not. But typically with dementia, other people are worried about your memory and you are not worried about it. That's a good sign of dementia as well. Again, eating healthy and staying active is a huge way to keep our brain active and sharp, challenging yourself to learn new things. And then some healthy foods that we can eat that are really good for our brain include fish, lean meat, skinless poultry, and then always remember that drinking can cause confusion and memory loss as well. Our sleeping patterns do change a little bit as we age. It usually takes us more time to fall asleep. We have a decline in REM sleep, which is our dreaming sleep, you could think of it as. We wake up more in the middle of the night. We have a rise in sleep disorders such as sleep apnea, and our shift in circadian rhythm. So our circadian rhythm is our natural waking and sleeping cycle. So for most of us who are working, it's probably sometime around like 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. When the sun's up. But as we age, it could shift to falling asleep earlier at night and waking up earlier in the day. Sleep apnea is very common. And remember that medications can cause changes to sleep patterns. They can cause people to be sleepy or just, be up in the middle of the night as well. In our social life is so important to keep up as we age because the lack of close personal connections increases our chances of dying early. This can be really hard for someone as they age because maybe their friends and family are starting to pass away, they're constantly sick, maybe they personally don't have the physical ability to keep going out to lunch or going to card games or driving. Maybe they have trouble hearing. So maybe it's a personal thing that's keeping someone from being active in their social life. But if we're not active in our social life, it can cause higher blood pressure, more stress in our life, inflammation in our body, poor sleep or depression. But this can be hard, for others because maybe their close group of friends aren't around anymore, if they've moved. Lots of things that can play into our social life. And it's important to remember that grief and feeling blue are not normal reactions, are normal reactions, but being depressed is not. Being depressed in older life is more prevalent, but it's not a normal thing. It still should be treated just as if somebody who was young had depression. So a few ways that we can stay healthy. I've touched on many of these, and I'm sure many of us know that these are good for us. Exercising, of course, is super important while we age, starting with just walking. Walking is so good for the body, and it's something that we can do almost our entire life. But if walking is a little bit too boring for you, if you want to step it up a notch, you can try biking, swimming, tennis, hiking, anything that you still enjoy doing cardio-wise, you can still do as you age. You can try using a chair or a table to stabilize yourself if you're doing body weight exercises like squats or toe raises, or sitting down while using hand weights and strengthening your arms. Stretching regularly is super important as well. Doing yoga, tai chi, Pilates, anything that you enjoy exercising, just continue doing it. Eating well, like I said, is super important. Seniors, usually need a little bit less calories as they age, but if they're still burning a lot of calories, just as when you're young, it's important to replenish and eat for what your body needs. It's important to consult your doctor if you're going to change the way that you are eating, but just in general, it's good to stay away from sodium, processed sugar, saturated and trans fats. And know that if you aren't supposed to be eating some kinds of foods with any medications you may be taking. And for a lot of seniors, a huge challenge is they want to eat a lot of convenience food because they don't want to cook for just one person anymore. So try choosing lower sodium canned veggies or frozen veggies and fruits. Pre-cooked grilled turkey or rotisserie chickens can be super convenient for people. Low sodium canned soups, bagged salad mixes so they can just throw it in a bowl, instant oatmeal or steamed bagged vegetables. And taking vitamins and supplements can be super helpful for people, but of course, consult with your doctor or pharmacist if you should be staying away from certain vitamins or supplements that could interfere with medication. Getting plenty of sleep just because you're aging doesn't mean you need less sleep. 6 to 8 hours is still recommended for seniors. And socialization. The big thing around socialization could be trying to just go and get a meal with your friends or exercising with your friends, so you're kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Does anyone have any questions thus far? I'll let you put those in the chat box. And just, if you're going to be asking now, I'm going to tell you guys about a couple of things coming up. So one is an event coming up with Southern Caregiver Resource Center in collaboration with the County of San Diego Aging and Independent Services. It's called Caring for the Caregiver. It's on February 23rd at 10:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. So it's just a program about self-care for caregivers. If you want more information on that, I can send that to you. And then we also have an opportunity for all of you who participate in our webinars. It's through Quita Health, which is a newer company here in San Diego. They have created a product called Extend by Quita, and this uses Amazon Echo technology. So basically, they want to extend an offer to our participants of our webinars to receive an Amazon Echo and test out the new product, which can help seniors and their caregivers stay connected more easily, promote healthy habits, assist with day-to-day services and activities, and allow seniors to continue enjoy living independently. So if anybody would be interested in beta testing the Extend by Quita through the Amazon Echo, you can email me and I can get you in touch with them about doing this beta testing. Any questions? I'll stay on the line for a little bit here, and just be sure to join us in February for our next webinar. And here is my email, as well as how to get a hold of Elder Help in general if anybody has any extra questions that they want to ask me or give us a call about. Otherwise, thank you so much, everyone. Hope you have a good day. I just